So how many of you guys know Maisie from Game of Thrones, obviously? Yes. She defeated evil, so we all love her. But she's also a very talented entrepreneur. She started a company called Daisy. I was hoping you would tell us kind of where did that come from? Why?
Yeah, so I have a co-founder, Dom, who's backstage right now, and we worked together on a movie. Dom was on the crew, and I was acting. And he came to me one day and said that there's a huge problem with breaking into creative industries, and the series of events that had got me to where I am now were mainly based on luck and timing and difficult to recreate. So we spoke about the problems and how people really struggle with connectivity and finding people who they can collaborate with, even at a really simple level. And so that's where the idea of Daisy really came from. We wanted to create like a social network, but it was more just focused on the creative industries and focused on your work rather than your private life.
Right, and you fundraised a little bit for this already. Your seed round, you've already raised it. I was talking to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's actually weird that because there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, we actually chatted with him.
I have to try really hard not to recycle questions because there are lots of correlating things. But one of the things that I was talking to him about, and that I think would be interesting to hear from you, is fundraising. I'm sure it's really easy to get your foot in the door, but maybe things get a little bit more difficult for you once you're actually in the room.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Definitely. I mean, I think just because something's celebrity endorsed doesn't mean that it's good. So I think I definitely, there was no problem with reaching out to people on LinkedIn and Twitter and like getting in the rooms with like these amazing VCs. But you've still got to pitch them. Like they're not just going to, give it to you, and you've still got to convince them. And they had a lot of really amazing advice as well. They've seen things that work and things that don't, and the reasons why. And so I think they just had a lot of advice for me as well, like going through this, like how to manage, this insane platform that I have, but how to still make like a really good product. So yeah, I mean, like getting in the room is fine, but yes, convincing them is still, it's like convincing someone to give you a role. It's like an audition.
Well, but I mean, you've lived your life, essentially grown up before our eyes and lived under immense scrutiny.
Yeah.
You feel like that kind of gave you the skill set you need to go in confidently and pitch, or is it a completely different set of skills?
No, I think like having determination to create a career within the creative arts, it takes a lot of self-belief, and I think founding a company is the same, because a lot of people do look at you like you're crazy and you're pitching them like the greatest idea ever, and people just like sometimes don't get it and it's not for them, and in those moments you do need a lot of self-belief, because it, otherwise you kind of like stop before you've started.
Right. Well, and so Daisy connects artists, creators who want to collaborate and work together, but then they've got this thing that they've built and worked on together. Like, what happens next? Can Daisy succeed without like scaled distribution or brokerage for those deals, sponsorships, whatever they might be?
Yeah, it's actually where the company is sort of heading right now. So we want to work on sort of partnerships where our users can have like a real brief from like a real client and like pitch their ideas and then get them made and have like a budget and be paid for their work, which is like ultimately, one of the most difficult things within the creative industry is to get paid for what you're doing. So that's, at the moment we've got a really wonderful community that's thriving and creating these amazing projects. But in terms of like, transferring that into the real world and helping people actually get jobs, these partnerships are going to be really, really great for that.
And you chose to not put any follower counts on Daisy. I'm trying not to say Maisie. I'm actually trying really hard not to say Arya, if we're being honest. But so you chose not to put follower counts onto the app. Are there like counts? Is there a like?
No. You don't have follow counts. We have like comments, so you can like engage with people. We were speaking about doing this like a reputation, possibly.
Oh, like a clout score kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of, and it's about like how much you interact with people, when you interact with people that are outside of like your group, and how much you post and like the work that you're doing. But, you know, something like that, it just takes a lot of thought, because once you put it out there, you can't really take it back. So that one's, you know, kind of difficult. But we didn't want follow counts. I think that rewarding people for these typical kind of metrics can be quite damaging, and can make you feel just because you're not popular, maybe you're not talented, and that's just not true. And the thing about creative endeavors is that, you know, the things that are popular aren't necessarily like the best things, and like, you know, just because something that you do isn't liked by many people, it doesn't mean it's not incredible. So yeah, we wanted to really like take that metric away, and just have people be able to connect with whoever they want, and it not be like a status thing.
Yeah, well, and like, you know, you kind of came out of nowhere. You were Arya Stark, and I'm sure your follower count and all your social media accounts up and up and up and up and up. So there's tons of pressure on you. Like, do you wish that follower counts and like counts went away across the whole internet?
Yeah, I'm actually losing followers at the moment, but I quite like it. It's nice.
You guys,
like,
follow her.
It's nice. No.
No, stop, please.
I like it because it's like you start finding your audience, and I think for a long time I was part of this show that, you know, had its own like following, and now that I'm doing my own like adventures and like whatever it is that I'm doing, like I'm finding the people that really like that rather than just people who like the show. So, you know, I think that's, you know, the other thing is that it's hard to sort of find your niche, and with Daisy, like that's kind of what it's all about, like helping you find your group rather than it just being like quite a lonely experience.
And do you actually go on to Daisy as a user and collaborate? Like, what are the chances that these people sign up for Daisy and you're like, oh yeah, you can work with me on this?
Yeah, people like request me to be part of their projects all the time.
I bet they do.
They're so interesting, and I love to sort of read about them. In terms of like actually working on things, like I've just been doing Daisy really at the moment, and I'm only just now, well, we're gonna start raising again soon, so it takes up a lot of time founding a company. Not, you know, I'd love to do more creative endeavors than they get a chance to, but you know, it's really great to see the work and that people want me to be involved in it, and you know, even then it's great for like the marketing team. Like if we find something that's really incredible, we love to bring those creators into the marketing team for like a small campaign and create something with them. So it's like, you know, our Daisy community are also the people who create Daisy content and like marketing and everything like that. So it's really nice to have that like flow, I guess.
Bit of a virtuous cycle there.
Definitely, yeah.
So one of our writers, Josh Constantine, actually wrote an amazing piece recently about TikTok. You're familiar with TikTok, for sure. And about how Zuckerberg doesn't understand it, essentially. But I'm curious to know what you think about this whole new idea of remixing content, right? As opposed to just creating something original or telling about your life, something more autobiographical. It's like taking this other content and mixing it up. Do you think that's, you know, makes people more creative or less creative because they're kind of recycling things? You know,
I think like when you limit variables that you like, limit the variables that you use for like a creative endeavor, like this does make you more creative because you have to sort of think outside of this like much smaller box. Which, yeah, I really love, and I think, like, this whole, like, recycled meme after meme, or, like, whatever it is, like, edits upon edits. Like, I mean, like, even the SpongeBob one that's, like, going around at the moment, like, SpongeBob Ed, like, that episode was so long ago, you know, and the fact that it just keeps coming around and around, I think it's really exciting, and it can, like, have a new life. And I think, you know, we're all inspired by everything we see every day, and, yeah, I don't think that, yeah, I think something like that should be really celebrated, and, like, it's obviously doing really well, so.
Yeah. Is it possible to create, because one of the differences between, and I'm sorry to keep making that reference, but to Joseph Gordon-Levitt said specifically, hit record is not to launch your career. It's not to create a viable career. You cannot do that on Hit Record. It's really just about connecting with like-minded creators to build something together. And I think that Daisy is a little bit of a different approach. I think you kind of are trying to get your foot in the door there.
Yeah, we want to try and bridge that gap in any way that we can. At the moment, we have users that just come on Daisy for fun, which is absolutely fine as well, and is still celebrated. And you know, even if this is more of a hobby, then it's still a place where people can upload their work and have a good time. But in terms of people that are just trying to make some sort of portfolio for themselves, to be recognized for the work that they can do, like, people just don't even know where to start right now. Like, you have no idea. If you don't know anyone in the creative industries, like, you just don't know where you begin. And so we're trying to create somewhere where there were real opportunities, and like there will be clients or, you know, people like to finance work you're doing. Like, we want to create like a big hub of Gen Z creators and I guess the audience too, to be able to, like, you know, hopefully launch their career.
What is the internet like for you? Like, I'm nervous going on the internet. I'm nobody, and you have like this slice of people who are like love you, and then you have these people who love you in like a really creepy way, and then you have and then you have people maybe who don't love you as much, and like it's just a lot. Like, what is it like for you to be a human who has to be on the internet?
Yeah, it is strange, because I mean, the internet isn't really built. It is hard to be yourself on the internet because the fact that you know, you have to like post everything to be seen on the internet. You can't just be like quiet on the internet and people like get to know you.
We
like,
can, but you can't.
Yeah, I guess so. But like, you know, the fact of like being seen on the internet is because you posted something or like actively done something. So it's like a strange thing. It's like definitely like a side of my personality that's on the internet, and it's like very fun and loud and like extroverted, I guess. But there's like a side of myself that I keep from myself and like the people that I know in person and like meet day to day, that is just like, I guess, a lot more like, I don't know, different.
Okay, that's good. You did it.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the questions that I want to ask you is more like around the media industry in general, which is like, it's possible that Game of Thrones was the last show that we all like tune into weekly and get together with our friends and talk about for the next week and make theories about and all that stuff. What are your thoughts on like scheduled releases versus binge viewing?
I mean, even with shows that I can binge view, like shows that come onto Netflix, like a whole season at once, like I really try to pace myself because, I don't know, it's just, I think it's nice to have suspense, and like everything is so fast that I think like, yeah, it would be nice if these things lasted longer, and that, you know, the show typically would have lasted 10 weeks every time, and, you know, sometimes the build-up to these shows that are online is, like, longer than anyone's talking about them because they've watched them in, like, 2 days. So I think that is a real shame, because the amount of work that goes into creating content like this, and you're going to have to wait a whole year until you can watch the next one. So I think it is a real shame that everything's become so fast. But, you know, the internet and that way of sort of consuming media is really the way forwards. And, you know, a lot of companies that are more traditionally like cable networks, like shows, they're now sort of pumping money into these like online platforms for them to be able to do streaming services for, you know, whatever shows they're making. So, you know, people are definitely moving in that direction. But yeah, I think it is a bit of a shame sometimes.
Well, not only for like the people that created it, obviously you're right about that, like the hype cycle around something, if you watch it in 48 hours, like people forget. But also I feel like you don't like sponge it in quite as much as a viewer either.
Yeah, true, because you just move on, and I think like the episodes just end up blurring together, and I can't tell which episode I'm speaking about, and it just like runs into one big blur of a season. Whereas when you have something staggered, like you're thinking about it the whole week and wonder what's going to happen next, and that's like quite a nice way of just consuming something.
With the streaming wars going on, like, it's amazing for all of us because we have just literally a million things to choose from. You could watch whatever you wanted, and the biggest problem that we all have is finding the time to watch all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for like talent, on the other end, does that make a difference? Is this a good or bad thing? The fact that we have just so many platforms that are trying to push content to us.
Like I think as long as you're happy and like the way you're choosing to live your lifestyle, sits right with you, then I don't know that it's a problem how you spend your time. I think.
I mean, for you though, like as an actress, like.
I think it's great. Like, I love to be able to watch everything. I see that as being my job, to know, like, what good TV there is, what good films there are, what's being financed, what new networks are, like, hitting off, and, like, that's something that I feel the need to know, so I definitely partake to a certain extent, but, also staring at a screen all day makes me insane, and, like, I can't sleep at night, so, like, I have to balance that, and, like, sometimes go outside, but I do love to just sort of, like, hide away and watch YouTube after Netflix, after Amazon, after TV, and then movies, and just start again from the beginning and go back to YouTube, and then, I love to do that just as much as anyone else, I think, and, as long as, I don't find it damaging within a day, then I'm happy to do it for hours and hours and hours.
Do you you told me that you don't have upcoming projects to talk about in terms of the acting stuff, but do you feel like the next one you do you feel pressure? Like, Game of Thrones is the most popular and award-winning show that has ever existed on the planet.
It was such an amazing opportunity, and if I don't do anything like that again, I'm not that mad about it.
You'll be okay.
It was
Till the
fine.
Night King.
Yeah. it was.
Sorry, spoilers.
Sorry. Yeah. It was pretty one of a kind, as far as anything like that goes, and I think my goal now is not to do something like that, but to do something that people maybe don't expect, and to play a role that people wouldn't imagine me as, because I think, that would be a lot more fulfilling than trying to surpass anything that I've already done.
I mean, you're 20 years old, right?
22.
22. You have a long road ahead of you. Like, where do you want to focus your attention? Is it going to be more on acting? I mean, clearly Daisy's your kind of full-time focus right now. Is it entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think everything. Like, I really look at my future, and I want to try. I'll always be within creative industries, I think. And I've loved founding Daisy, and, I can't wait to see where we go in the next few years and what happens, and I really enjoy my time doing that. But I think I'll always be doing something creative, and I'm really just, I'm very open to the future that's coming. Like, I've never really had a plan or, like, a goal, or, like, and it's, like, sort of it's going okay.
Yeah, it's going great.
So I guess just, like, keeping an open mind
cool.
is good.
Okay, we have a minute left, so we're going to do something that I like to do, which is the lightning round.
Okay.
Maisie's going to be asked either or questions. You can pass on one, but I'd like it if you didn't. You should just go for all of them. We're going to start with a really easy one, though. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
Dog.
Dog. Good answer. Nick, Kevin, or Joe Jonas?
Joe.
Yeah, that's an easy one, too. David Benioff or D.B. Weiss?
D.B. Weiss.
D.B. Weiss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, David.
Boo, David. Netflix or, like, Apple TV Plus? If you had to do a new project. Netflix? Dragons or dire wolves?
Dire wolves.
Yeah, Nymeria.
I don't know, actually. I say that because I played Arya Stark, but really it's dragons.
Really, it's dragons. Oh, that's news. All the press were like, oh my god, she turned on the direwolves. Okay, acting or entrepreneurship. You just said you want to keep your mind open, but if you had to choose.
I've been doing a lot of entrepreneurship right now, so I'll go with acting.
Yeah.
But it will switch in a year.
Okay, so nothing permanent. Like, are you more of like a party person, or would you rather just like be in bed?
Be in bed.
Be in bed. Me too.
Yeah.
Twitter or Instagram?
I spend more time on Instagram.
So Instagram.
Mhm.
Okay, last one. Jon Snow or Sansa?
Sansa.
All right. Will you guys please give her a huge round of applause? Thank you so much, Maisie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Oh, yes.